Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki and today we are going to use up some of your scraps and we're going to make some really pretty little removable page tabs. So they're basically hidden paper clips but with a little tab on top. So I will show you all these later. What I'll do is give you a basic rundown of how to make one, and then of course you can go to town, grab out those scraps, because honestly it doesn't matter what size they are. You'll see the ones that I've made are all different sizes. But for simplicity today, I've got 3 different plain colours here, just so that you can see very clearly and simply how easy these are to make. And if you are interested in size, not that it matters, because as I said, use whatever scraps you have. These ones here, this piece, my first piece here, is just under 5.5 centimetres by 10.5. The next piece is just under 4.5 by just 9 3/4, and I have cut out a tab. Don't worry if you don't have punches or die cuts to make tabs. In some of the examples I'll show you later, I've come up with some other ways that you can do this. So the first thing you need to do is take your largest piece and fold it in half. Very simple process, except when you're on camera and it just doesn't want to go the right way. Fold it down, then I always grab my bone folder and just give it a light press. This helps. I don't know if you noticed it before, but it got a little bit of a crease in it when I bent it and realised I didn't have it quite where I wanted it. So by giving things a gentle bone fold, that crease just magically disappears. So that is piece number 1. Then the next bit, we're going to do exactly the same thing. Give that a bit of a bone fold. And finally, the same thing with our tab. And give that a gentle fold. Now, the only thing you need to think about when it comes to size is what size paper clip you are going to use. They come in a multitude of sizes. This is what I would call the small standard one. The only thing you have to think about is that the piece that's going over the top is longer than your paper clip. Okay, otherwise when you glue it down, you're going to see some of your paper clips sticking out the bottom. So that is the only restriction that you have. So using a smaller paper clip gives you bigger variety to use up smaller scraps. But if you don't have them, then just make it a bit bigger. It's okay. We can still use up plenty of scraps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my glue and I'm just going to run a little stripe across here. This bit probably isn't vital. It's just to help hold the paper clip in place. When you glue this down on top, you'll find that that's what will really hold it down. I just have this thing in my head that I want a little bit of glue there. Easy peasy. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run some glue all around the edge. And then in here, in the middle, I'm going to smush down a decent amount of glue, because this is where we're adhering this to the paper clip and we want it to hold firm. Then you just simply line this up. Try and get it relatively central. Don't panic if you don't. Now, you'll see, of course, it doesn't come right down to the edge because you've got the top of the paper clip involved in this little game. but that's okay. So we just, before you press it down, just make sure you're happy with the alignment. Yep. And then press and start pressing down along where the paper clip is, then around all your edges, and your paper clip will not move. Then the final thing you have to do is add your tab. Very simple process. Glue on both sides. Work out where you want it to sit, how much you want to come out over the top. I tend to like to get mine to sort of line up with that little indentation here. And that is how easy a basic tabbed hidden paper clip is to make. So let me show you some of the other fun ones I've done and why they've ended up the size that they are. And let me put the lid back on my glue or it'll go rock hard. So let's start with, let's grab all these. Actually, no, let's do it this way so that you can just concentrate. So this is one option where I have used a dark basic colour. Then I have added a pattern and included a third bit. This is a whale tail tab that I've got, and this is a paint chip that I have run through an embossing folder. It's a little scrap that I had left. And you'll notice that this is a torn edge here. There's no reason why you can't. I was going to cut that off and I went, no, why can't we have a bit of a torn edge? There's no reason why we can't do that. So that's one very simple option. And then another one is to reverse it around and put your pattern underneath. In this case, I have rounded my corners on both of these. This I have die cut out, and that is a little tiny leftover bit from this page. So that's sort of the reverse of this one. Then another one here, again, rounded my corners. I did not want to cover up my shell. So instead of putting my second piece right in the middle, I've put it over to the left, and I've used this tiny little die cut tab that I've got and put it over to the right. So we've still got a bit of balance, but I didn't cover up my shell. So that's the plan for that one. Then we've gone very neutral with this one. Again, I have rounded my corners. I do have a corner rounder. If you don't have one, you can just lay a coin down on each side, draw around, and then cut your corners yourself. No reason why you can't do that. So with this one, I've gone all neutral, and I even had this tiny little tag. I've put a little bit of thread on it, just as a little bit of embellishment. But this one is all nice and neutral. Making a few of these for junk journaling and having them handy, great idea, because then you can add whichever decoration you like. And you can see these ones are wider and shorter. This one, I've elongated it. So it doesn't matter what shape. Just grab your scraps and then work your way through the sizes you've got. Instead of cutting out exact pieces, I just looked at the scrap and went, okay, I've got a bit of a wonky edge, but that's what I've got left. So that's how I'm going to make it. Another choice here, cut out a flag shape. Doesn't have to be square across the bottom. And then I've done their matching and then just a little bit of contrast in the middle there. Another option. This one here, well, I rounded all the corners. So instead of just doing the bottom ones, I've rounded the top on all of them. And then even on my little tab, I've just cut out a rectangle, folded it in half, and then used my corner rounder to make this shape. Worked well too. So we've got lots of round corners with that one. Now with this one, interesting that The words and the butterflies on this side are the right way up. So that means, of course, on the other side, they are officially upside down. By adding some bright, eye-catching ephemera, the only things your eyes will notice are those things. You won't see that these little butterflies and these words are upside down. So don't be afraid to use a pattern that will be upside down on the back. Add a little bit of ephemera, and that's all your eye is really going to focus on. So you don't have to worry about upside down things. Then I've got another one here. This one is 3 different patterns. Tried to sort of keep a little bit of colour scheme happening. Doesn't matter if you don't. And this one, I just cut out my rectangle, folded it in half, and then snipped off the corners. That's a very easy way to make a tab if you don't have punches or die cuts. And then this one here, I've matched those 2 up, and then had this beautiful scrap with this beautiful pink foil on it. So I was determined to use it and not hide it away. So I thought, that's the star of the show of this one. So we'll keep the background plain. Then I just cut out a tab myself, used my corner rounder, and then I had a little tiny scrap left. So I did the same thing. I made this little rectangle. I've got this little tiny corner punch. I think this was one of the first little crafting things I ever bought. And it's cool, but the corners are really tiny. But it's turned out to be very handy if you want to make little pieces. And I've just glued that little bit on there because I had it left and I didn't want to throw it in the bin, because that's what I'm like. So there you go. There's no rules. This is a great scrap buster on a rainy day. Grab a pile of scraps. If you can cut a rectangle, well, you could do them square too if you wanted to. No problem there. Add some glue. You don't need anything else. It's a really easy, really fun project. And then when you want to use your lovely new creations, you just grab a journal page and you gently prise it apart, slide it down onto your page. Oh, actually, hang on, I've got 2 pages going there. And there you go. You have this cute little, it becomes a great tuck spot, and you have your cute little tab then that's poking out the top. So great way to add ephemera to a journal, and a great fun project to do on a rainy day. So I have put this into my rainy day project playlist. So when you're having one of those days and you want to create but you can't think of anything to do, just grab a pile of scraps, a pair of scissors, and if you can cut some rectangles and your own little tabs, if you don't have punches and things like that, you can make all sorts of pretty things. So hope you enjoyed this. Let me know which one you like the best. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye for now.